Hi everyone, glad to be here. And I'm Alex Young, and today I'm gonna talk about the LlamaIndex workflow. So let me introduce myself first. I'm Alex Young, and right now I'm working for LlamaIndex, and I'm also a Gen Z. And in my university, I became the Node.js member, and after that, I spent a few years on frontend and mainly on React and React system like Jotai, which is state management, and Waku, which is React framework. Right now, I'm working on LlamaIndex and be a full stack and product engineer and building our React system. So let's start with a simple agent. You can see here we human input some message and we call LM, and the LM decide whether they need to call a tool or not. If so, we call the tool, then give the get the tool output, then start this loop again until it doesn't need more to call. So what we imagine if we don't imagine we just start from scratch and we don't use any framework. We might first define a function we might call run and give a user message, and our initial step just have a chat history, then we append our user message and give a simple system prompt. After that, we can just call a LM. Then if there's no tool call, then we return the message. If there, what about if there's a tool? Then we have to start over. How should we do that? So we might write a virtual here and start and push back the tool every time. So you can see from this example, it's pretty hard to manage the state, right? You have to put all your state into the top level, and keep in mind I have something, the global state or the local state, and also it's hard to parallel the function call, right? So for here it's just a single thread, and also it's pretty hard to manage the error handling, right? And it's super hard to debugging, and also it's hard for the scalability if you want to really deploy this into a HTTP server. So how do what are we gonna do with using the LlamaIndex workflow? First, we just need to declare some event. So in the example, we just need a call event and some progress event. Then for each workflow, we just need to define the step. In each step, we just declare what he gonna do. For the setup, for here, the setup step, we just initialize the context, and we call the LM, return the LM call event. Then in the agent step, we try to call the LM and check if there's a tool call. We return the tool call event. And in the tool call event, then we can in the LlamaIndex we can just set the non-worker to any number that they can run parallel. And also we can, for example, we can embed a Neo4j vector store in our tool call. And you can see here we just import from our LlamaIndex, and we also have many other vector store support. Then you can just whether to have a tool, whether to define it as a type, Python type annotation. And you can see here it's basically generates the workflow, and you can, let's check by in our PyCharm. Yeah, you can see here. This is a Jupyter notebook, which is the for code example I set, and here's the generated the node. You can see. Yeah, it will basically generate all the possible node. Basically, and yeah, and if you wanna, like, if you already have a workflow, if you wanna deploy it, we have a LlamaIndex deploy, then this support a seamless deployment and support its scalability, and we have ability to have a state management, and also it's async first. Then you basically just need to write a YAML file, and it will you in your terminal, and you can easily to deploy your workflow into the production. And this the diagram, and also in JavaScript, basically I'm mainly maintaining our LlamaIndex JavaScript, and you can. The benefit of the JavaScript is that you can just write some UI into your JavaScript and return to the front end with JavaScript. And for here, I just need, for example, here I use a React server component with the workflow, and you can just use the async iterator here, and each step you can update the UI, and also the one feature of the workflow is that it's for the context serialization, that you can allow to stop and resume the workflow in each step. For example, you need more user input in the middle of the workflow, and it might not possible in the like HTTP server, but we support the stop the workflow. You can, and then you can, for example, you can here return a user input event. Then in the code, you can just serialize the event, serialize the workflow, and return to the front end. After that, you resume that workflow and continue. Yeah, and yeah, you can resume the workflow here. And also you can do this in our Python. It's kind of low-level API, but we do support that in. Yeah. Also, if you we also have a Llama CLI. If you have you can start our code just from templates. For example, here we have an example that basically you can upload some PDF or CSV, then you can chat with AI agent, then it will give some streaming UI, and some, yeah, today, and we talk about the workflow and the JavaScript side, and we talk about the Llama deploy, and if you just don't want from scratch, you can have npm's create Llama. We support both Python and the JavaScript template. And for some lower API, we have a context serialization that you can customize your workflow, how to run your workflow. Yeah, all the code you can see on our LlamaIndex repository. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Any questions? Raise your hand, I'll bring the mic to you.
Michael? I have a question. So in the workflow, you defined different methods. How do you decide, or how does the workflow decide which method to call? Does it look at the event type that you emit, and then decides on the event type which of the methods that you define is called, or was there any dependency management?
I think for each step we let me show, for example, this step. Basically, you define the event as a top level, and here we have you defined some event, and we also have a start and stop event. So basically, we use type annotation here to check whether, for example, here we have a start event, then you turn the call event, then you will check which step will accept that element event, then run that step. Okay, that's basically the logic.
You get the last pair.
Thank you for the presentation. I'm really new to this. I'm just wondering what's the difference between LangGraph and LlamaIndex? What's the pro and con?
I think for our workflow, it's basically the event based. If you use if you try LangGraph, you might know like it's basically the graph. It's a DIG graph, and if you use workflow, it's event based, right? So from API side, you can see it's basically if you try like Node.js, there's an event emitter, right? It's very similar to event emitter, but if you use a LangGraph, it's basically it's actually the graph based. So I think there's some difference in API side, but I think in the bottom layer, it's actually very similar actually.
I got a question. Is like, is there going to be support for like dynamic workflows? So let's say, because right now most of the workflow are predefined workflow. Is there any plan on generating the, I would say, dynamic workflow by itself by AI, or controlling by some sort of algo that can make sure that there's no human in the loop and making the actual autonomous agent happen?
So do you mean the AI generated workflow?
Yeah, no. So like I'm saying, not just AI generating workflow that's based on user's prompt, but more of like AI figuring out what are the steps in between, similar to the steps in O1. But like, is there a way in terms of the prompt engineering technique that can be engineered into the code?
I think workflow API is very basic level. You have predefined all your steps. I think, but it's possible to have. So what do you say? I think, that's not possible. Yeah.
Other questions? Yep.
Yeah, thanks for a great talk. I wanted to follow up on that LangGraph versus LlamaIndex, because I think it's a big architectural decision you kind of have to make when you first get started on the agent design. And then what's your take on like when to use event-based architecture versus graph-based, where you're actually predefining like the agent's interaction? If you have any take on like when to use what, like which strategy?
I think like the benefit of event-based, like if you really want to integrate like this front end, like you might need event-based because you might need to display some progress on the front end. Like, so I think that's might be the benefit of event-based. So yeah.
Any more questions? Yep.
Is it possible to say that a workflow is actually an abstraction on top of tool calling?
I think not really. Like you can define whatever you want in workflow. Like it's basically the framework of the like some event system. For example, you can define some shopping workflow. Actually, it's actually don't need any LLM actually.
But in a tool call, you can also define whatever you want.
Yeah, but
So-
like if you want, for example, you have a multi-agent. You have a multi-agent step. You don't. For here, you have a. You don't. For example, I have a example here which use which is a multi-agent step in our repository, which is 2LLM and also have some human interact. For here, like in some case, you might need a user to have some more interaction with input. That for here, you cannot just say you cannot just use tool because it's a long, you need long communication, right? So.
So it limits up to the call, basically saying, that's the first question based on that, and there's like 3 options.
Well, let me bring the mic to you. It's hard to hear in the back.
So I'm kind of grappling with the same question as these guys have been getting at. And it sounds like basically, yes, it's another abstraction on top of tools. You have these tools, API calls, but the API calls you can't string together or combine. This is my take. I'm not super familiar with this. So this would allow you to maybe hit it and then you're kind of going down like a graph restricting the next action that they can take. Is that? So like now I ask about, I have a member call in, oh, I'm John. All right, pull up John's information. Now we're in the context of John. Tell me about my spend on this, at this area, and then it tells you about that. And then it might say, would you like to know about these 3 things? Whereas the other one, it wouldn't be able to prompt you and say, would you like to know about these 3 things? Is that? Yeah.
Am I don't really understand what happened.
I don't know what the question is. I'm sorry.
I'm guessing you're talking about like why not just use tools or something.
Yeah. Is this an abstraction on tools?
It's not really like if you have a like multi-level agent or like if you want to customize your work, custom more step instead of tools. Like you don't. Sometimes you don't need just for example, just very long step in the tools. If you just put in the tool, it might take very long, and you have to define your like for example debugging like parallel processing for that. So if you use workflows, you already have some predefined logic for parallel and debugging and some, for example, the UI on that. Yeah.
One more?
Thank you.
Yes, in this session, it's like about Neo4j and also like LlamaIndex like pulled together, right? But I see like a lot of like overlapping, or what is like the use case that can have like you on top of Neo4j?
I think like for LlamaIndex, we are a data framework that we already support many, like we already have many integration, not only for like graph store, like we also support many other like vectors, simple vector store, and like for the graph store, well, it has good performance, right? So we can easily integrate with workflow, and also like you can customize your logic using graph-based database with the agent, right?
Thank you. I have 2 questions. So if I have multiple methods that take the same type of event, are they all called?
What?
So if I have multiple steps that take the same type of event, and I emit an event, are all these methods called with the same event, or only one of them?
I think it's the same event, right? I'm not
So,
sure.
for instance, imagine I have an LLM call event here.
Yeah, right.
And I have 2 steps that take an LLM call event as a parameter. Are they both called, both the steps, or is only one of the 2 steps called?
I think it's multiple step call, right? Because, like,
Okay.
yeah, of course. Like in the tool call, the handling tool call is basically you put the context into that event, and in the handler you extract for example, the ID inputs from the event, then you return the result event.
Yeah, but what I meant is, imagine you have two steps that take a tool call event as a parameter.
You can put like into the context or bypass some parameter. Yeah.
My other question was, could you actually have the LLM emit events directly, so that basically the LLM emits any number of 1 out of 10 different events, and you can just return whatever event the LLM generates, and then the LLM gets more. So you have to do less manual coding, but you have the LLM actually emit the events that you want to return from your method, for instance. Have you tried this and something like this?
Not really. I haven't tried that. So.
Okay. I was just curious. Okay, thank you.
All right, I think that's probably a good time to thank Alex and everybody for asking questions.